The Cleveland Browns have seen their fair share of quarterback chaos over the years, but nothing quite like this. The drama took a shocking turn when rookie quarterback Shadur Sanders, the young prodigy with superstar DNA, walked into a press conference and turned the entire NFL upside down, not with his words, but with his silence. Cameras flashed. Reporters fired questions. Microphones leaned in. And yet Shedeur didn't say a single word. He simply mouthed his responses, calm and unbothered, like a man daring the entire league to guess what he was thinking. Within minutes, the video spread across social media like wildfire. Fans couldn't believe it. Some called it brilliant. Others said it was disrespectful. But there was no denying the impact. Shadur Sanders, the Browns' QB3, had just pulled off one of the boldest acts of defiance in recent NFL memory. Because silence in this league can be deafening. Behind the scenes, Cleveland's quarterback room was already on the verge of imploding. Veteran Joe Flacco, the steady hand who once guided the Browns to a surprise playoff run, was clearly at the end of his rope. His arm didn't have the same pop. His reads were slower, and even he seemed to know that Father Time had officially caught up. Meanwhile, Gabriel, the promising rookie with a reputation for being obedient and coachable, had quietly been elevated to QB1. And Shedeur, the young lion, was forced to fight for scraps, tucked away at QB3 despite flashing the poise and confidence of a starter. So when Shedeur walked into that press room, it wasn't just another media day. It was a statement. He'd had enough of the questions, the twisting of his words, the endless comparisons to his father, Sanders. In his mind, this wasn't about disrespecting reporters. It was about protecting himself from a media machine that he felt had painted him as arrogant since the day he was drafted. So instead of giving them quotes to manipulate, he gave them silence. But the NFL isn't a place that tolerates rebellion lightly. Within hours, league officials reportedly called the Browns' front office, demanding to know what had happened. To them, this wasn't creativity or self-preservation, it was insubordination. The commissioner's office viewed it as a slap in the face to the media's role in the game. Words like mockery and unacceptable began circulating behind closed doors. Cleveland's brass found itself in the crosshairs. Head coach Kevin Stefanski, already under immense pressure to prove he could stabilize the franchise, suddenly had to answer for a rookie quarterback's silent protest. General manager Andrew Berry was said to have received multiple calls from league officials, and even from ownership, questioning the team's culture and leadership. Rumors spread that the league considered fines or disciplinary measures if the situation wasn't addressed quickly. And all the while, inside the locker room, tension brewed. Joe Flacco, ever the professional, reportedly expressed frustration that off-field distractions were overshadowing preparation. Gabriel's camp, on the other hand, stayed quiet. Too quiet. It was the kind of silence that hinted at opportunity. While chaos swirled around Shedeur, Gabriel was getting more first-team reps, more attention, more trust. Some called it strategy. Others called it punishment. The next morning, ESPN's ticker blared, "Commissioner reportedly furious with Shadur Sanders." Talk shows lit up. Stephen A. Smith blasted the rookie on First Take, saying, "You can't come into the NFL and refuse to speak. That's not leadership, and that's arrogance." Over on the Pat McAfee show, the tone was more amused. McAfee called it the most college move of all time, but admitted that he respected Shedeur's refusal to let the media twist his words. Cleveland fans, however, were divided. Half praised Shedeur for standing up to a media system that they believed had unfairly targeted him. The other half accused him of embarrassing the franchise yet again, dragging the Browns into another needless controversy. And rival fans? They had a field day. Steelers and Ravens supporters flooded social media with memes calling him Silent Sanders, mocking the Browns for finding new ways to implode. But while the outside world laughed, the mood inside the Browns facility was anything but funny. Practice that week felt tense. Coaches barked louder than usual. Players moved with unease. Reporters noticed that Shedeur's practice reps had quietly decreased while Gabriel's had increased. Some insiders whispered that the decision came directly from above, a message that rebellion comes with consequences. Yet even with limited opportunities, Shedeur continued to make jaw-dropping throws in practice. During one drill, he reportedly fired a 30-yard laser between defenders, prompting teammates to cheer and slap his shoulder pads in support. His teammates saw what many fans couldn't: authenticity. Shadur wasn't playing games. He wasn't chasing attention. He was standing up for himself in a league that often punishes individuality. Some of the younger players began siding with him, viewing him as a leader who wasn't afraid to challenge authority. But that loyalty only deepened the division. The quarterback room wasn't just split by competition, it was now fractured by ideology. Stefanski's patience was wearing thin. He tried to downplay the incident publicly, but privately, he was furious. He needed focus, not headlines. He reportedly told his staff that practices must remain distraction-free, but how could they be? Every time Shedeur threw a perfect pass, it was labeled a comeback. Every time he missed, it was proof of immaturity. The microscope never left him. Meanwhile, the commissioner's warning to the Browns was clear: get your house in order. The league wasn't going to tolerate any more theatrics. That put Andrew Berry and Stefanski in a bind. Punish Shedeur too harshly, and they risk alienating their future star. Go easy on him, and they risk angering the league. It was a no-win situation. Behind closed doors, Joe Flacco reportedly accepted his diminished role, quietly acknowledging that he was no longer the player who had led the team to the playoffs just a season prior. He was the security blanket now, the veteran presence in case everything fell apart. But in Cleveland, things always seemed to fall apart. Gabriel, meanwhile, looked steady. Clean-cut, obedient, uncontroversial, the type of quarterback every GM can sell to the league office. But even his supporters couldn't deny the spark that Shedeur brought. The rookie had charisma, confidence, and that intangible it factor that made every throw feel like an event. To his fans, he wasn't the problem. He was the future. But the future suddenly looked fragile. What began as a press conference turned into a cultural earthquake. The fan base split down the middle. Talk radio hosts debated for hours whether Shedeur's silence was genius or insubordination. Local columnists called it a symbolic stand against a broken media system. Others called it the latest chapter in Cleveland's eternal quarterback curse, and perhaps that's the real tragedy of it all, that a franchise so desperate for stability can't seem to escape its own drama. The Browns didn't just have a quarterback competition anymore, they had a political war. A battle between control and authenticity, between corporate obedience and raw individuality. As one anonymous Browns player reportedly said, "It's not about who throws the best ball anymore. It's about who they want to control the story." And in that story, Shadur Sanders has become the unpredictable hero or the dangerous rebel, depending on who you ask. Whether his silence was a bold protest or a self-inflicted wound, one thing is certain: it forced the entire NFL to look. It made people talk about Cleveland again. And in this league, sometimes that's all it takes to start a revolution. Shadur Sanders didn't just mouth answers. He mouthed a challenge. To the media, to the league, to his own franchise. Whether he's remembered as the quarterback who defied the system or the one who burned his own opportunity will depend on what happens next. But one thing's for sure: the NFL will never forget the day a rookie refused to speak and made the entire football world listen.